Was that one of the greatest NFL games we've ever seen?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
What was it like watching it at home?
Like bonkers. Like every moment, it just felt like something was happening. I missed the Gabriel Davis TD.
Which one?
Right. Yeah, I know. Which are the four? The deep bomb, the deep post to him to beat the quarters onto the field. I missed that because I just went to my car to grab something from the trunk and put it back in my garage. And I was like, okay, they probably just started the drive. I'll catch up to the first play. And it was like as he was catching the ball, in the first play of that drive. I mean, where else to start? Both of these guys, both of the quarterbacks, had 0.51 EPA per play, and which is so fitting because they played like a couple of aliens tonight. Like they were truly Area 51, how they both played. A couple of just get a bucket. Like that's what this whole game was. It was them just getting bucket after bucket after bucket. It was like a 58 point versus a 42 point, like 24 rebounds each guy. Incredible, incredible game tonight.
Just think about the final couple of minutes and everything that happened. Tyreek Hill scores the touchdown. Then you get that followed by the Bills' touchdown drive, which, I mean, so many plays on that drive. There was that 2nd and 10 where Allen thought about running, and then he fired the missile to Davis for the 28-yard gain to take them down to the 47. Comes back to Davis on the back shoulder throw, then Emmanuel Sanders, then the Gabriel Davis touchdown. That was, you saw them, they were really confused, obviously. Snead bumped over really late. They just weren't in position. They took advantage. And that is before even talking about the touchdown drive that the Bills had before that, where they get the 4th and 13, which what Gabriel Davis did to Mike Hughes on that play, I think Mike Hughes is in the ground. Like he's buried underneath the field here at Arrowhead somewhere. But
it was a Dino route too, by the way. That was another one. We had another double post. I got to add it to the thread, and it was ironic because it was at Arrowhead. They probably watched some film, seeing Demarcus Robinson run that. They're like, "Hey, we can do that with Gabriel Davis. We'll have our other receiver doing it." But man, he broke him off on that one. That is epitome. Like that is the perfect route right there, and it's such a cool route when someone runs it. I mean, especially like that, but. Yeah.
And before that 4th and 13, Allen had that 4th and 4 where Melvin Ingram just absolutely ruined Spencer Brown with a hump move on 4th down, and Allen just escaped. And that is what these guys both did all day. It's what these guys both did all day. I want to get to that, but first of all, again, there's so much shit to dig through from late in the game. So obviously, we have the back and forth. The Bills score that final touchdown.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, not squibbing and kicking that thing deep and giving them a chance. I mean, that's going to haunt them, I assume, for a very long time.
And Romo was talking about it too. Oh, I would squib it. I would squib it. And that was, I thought, exactly what they were about to do. Especially, I don't think Tyreek Hill was as the kick returner there. I think it was Pringle maybe on that. If Tyreek Hill was back there, I get it. Try and just boot it through the end zone. But he's not. Okay, well, squib it just in case you don't kick a line drive or, like a one hopper to him. But man, that just didn't make sense at all, because that's usually 4 to 6 seconds that you can burn off there, and that was 4 to 6 seconds too long apparently, because they just marched down, and just how methodical it was. It was just the underneath one to Tyreek. It was just like confident in their 2-minute drill. Underneath throw to Tyreek.
13-second drill.
Yeah, 13-second drill. Yeah, it was like the Phoenix Suns offense from like 20 years ago. And then just like the little seam ball to Kelsey. Actually, no, it wasn't a seam ball. It was like a lazy bender.
It was up the left sideline. Yeah, he was working against Levi Wallace, who had a rough final couple possessions because he was also trailing Tyreek Hill on the long touchdown. And after he had a nice season, and for it to end like that kind of sums up how the Bills are feeling overall right now. But outside of the late game decision making, whatever, I want to get back into just what it felt like watching the quarterbacks. It was almost like watching Pacific Rim or something, where you're just these two giant monsters just punching each other back and forth. I mean, Allen was magnificent. He was absolutely incredible. All the different plays he made with his legs. The missile shot on the deep touchdown, when it felt like, I was like, why are they dinking and dunking this entire game? Like, why are they not pushing down the ball down the field at all? And then they come back with a play action over the cover 2 70-yard touchdown bomb. And then with Mahomes, obviously just the on-the-screws throws late in the game. But to me, the thing that really jumped out over the course of the entire 4 quarters, he would not let plays die.
Yeah.
The stat that really jumped out to me, I think he was pressured like 13 times this game. 13 pressures, and he was sacked twice. And the amount of work he did to get out of jams, to extend plays with his legs, to pick up first downs on the ground. The first drive, the 2 scrambles he had for 40-something yards on the first drive. I mean, both of these guys were not going to be denied in this game. The only reason the Bills lost this game, I mean, there are plenty of reasons, but the reason that the game ended with the Bills' loss is because they didn't touch the ball again. I mean, there's nothing else you could ask for from Josh Allen in that game.
What's the adage? Whoever gets the ball last.
Yeah.
And that's how that game felt. I mean, actually did in the final 2.5-ish minutes plus overtime. The scrambling, the Bills leaned into some 2-man, remember, against the Patriots? And right away they went against, and it makes sense, against Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, who are 2 true
That's what they did in week 5, and it worked out.
And it worked out. And Mahomes said, all right, screw this. If we don't have an outbreaking route or something else, because he hit Tyreek Hill as well on the catch and run for the touchdown. He beat him inside, beat the corner inside, which is so. I just believe
it was Wallace. He had inside leverage.
Wallace.
He had heavy inside leverage. Yep,
heavy inside leverage because it's trail technique, but it's inside leverage. I'll say it all the time on the show because you see so much 2-man, especially in the playoffs, because they're daring the quarterback to run or make a hero throw or have a freaking 4-2-5 Tyreek Hill beat a guy with inside leverage and beat him inside with the inbreaker. But Mahomes knew where he was going with that. He went 1, 2, 3, whipped it right away. He trusted Tyreek Hill to win inside, which is a whole nother level of star power when you can trust doing. That's Randy Moss throwing the hand up at 5 yards and then you just throw it deep. Basically, that's the equivalent of that. But also the Bills were running some one robber variations, like 2-man and one robber go together as kind of change ups off of each other. And the Bills were getting to that a little bit. And seeing that happen a couple times, the Chiefs are trying to run some man zone tells. They're trying to get to different types of concepts against that. And on base downs, when the Bills would be in too high or kind of leaning too high, or maybe have a late rotation, the Chiefs are spreading them out and run like a little Y insert run play. And on this one, it was very cool, like all the little things that they were sprinkling in and trying to like just get themselves some breathing room. And really, Mahomes wasn't attacking deep either, which was kind of crazy too. It was all kind of intermediate to short throws.
His air, he was like 5-something air yards per target in this entire game. He was doing no throws of 20+ air yards in this entire game for Patrick Mahomes. So it almost felt like the best version of what the Chiefs needed to be this year, where you had just surgical work from Mahomes in the underneath areas of the field. Think about that sidearm throw early in the game where he's just making something happen that shouldn't be there, where they were just doing all the work they needed to underneath, and Kelce and Hill dominated. And Hill dominated with the ball in his hands after the catch because it was all stuff that was within 5 to 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. And that's what teams are going to give them. And the fact that they were able to be so dangerous and so just devastating on those sorts of plays and with that sort of game plan. Again, that's exactly the type of offense we've wanted them to be for so long this season, and it's what they were in the most important game of the season.
And the Bills, we've talked about how they squeeze when they're running zone coverages, and then the man, they do such a great job at passing it off. They are letting you throw to the flat. They want you to throw underneath, and then they'll rally and tackle. They go, that's a 4-yard game. We're fine with it because you're not going to take that all day. You're going to get greedy. Well, when you have Tyreek Hill catching the ball in the flat, taking a step back, which is just so crazy that he does that every time now, just catches those balls and then like does a little back step like 3 yards and then he squares the guys up because he's on fast forward motion all the time. But doing that, and that's how he's able to get all those yards after the catch. He was just able to pepper. That was their way of peppering him. They were just like, okay, tackle him. Okay, tackle him. We'll prove it. Prove if you can tackle him. And a lot of times they weren't able to. It'd be a 2-yard throw that would gain 10 yards. That's that hitting yardage that Tyreek Hill creates along with like the deep ball stuff that he can do too.
How do you feel about the overtime rules and the overtime conversation? Because it's one of those moments where right now, I think it's easy to say it sucks that both teams don't touch the ball. And that's kind of where I'm at with it, is that it sucks that both teams don't touch the ball, but I don't have a better answer. And it feels like it's not worth using this game as a reason to change it or having it be some sort of referendum on the rule. In this moment, though, after that game, it's unfortunate that it had to end with Allen not getting a chance. I will say that.
We always say it when it's usually two good quarterbacks involved, or another good quarterback doesn't get the ball. But then those other games where it happens in like week 12 when it's just no one's watching, no one says a word. Everyone's
exactly.
They scored right away. I get it. We want to see more fun football, but it's also, I think it's just kind of perfect. It makes it so tense. Like, hey, we got to stop him for a touchdown, because you can even get that life of, hey, we held him to a field goal. All right, we're alive. We got the ball now. I don't know. You also have 60 minutes of regulation to win. So this is
and if you get a stop like that, now that it's a touchdown and not a field goal, Deontay Lee from PFF, our buddy Deontay, said it after the game. It's like, you should be able to get a stop. If you can't get a stop, you probably don't deserve to win. It's unfortunate in this moment after the game we just watched to not see Allen touch the ball again. But it's a long game where they had a lot of different chances to potentially win it. I mean, they had 5 different chances to win it in the final 2 minutes, it felt like.
They could get one stop. That 2 minutes was every time. Our little notes is, what was the big play that changed the game? And it was 5 times. I was like, well, was that? Oh, no, it was that one.
Oh, yeah. That section does not apply to the game that we just watched. It was ongoing. Every single moment was the turning point in that game.
Build the whole plane of 2-minute drills, like with Bills, Chiefs, 2-minute drills. Just build the whole plane out of it. It'll fly to the moon.
So I'm sitting here right now. I'm looking at the scoreboard at Arrowhead, and it says the Chiefs are the first team. It's standing up. It's locked up there. They're not changing the screen. Yeah. First team to host 4 consecutive AFC championship games. Kansas City Chiefs. And that, to me, if we're going to take a step back and think about this game and what it means for both of these teams, the Chiefs are just mindlessly here now and dominant and present. And they're going to be, right? I mean, even in this season where they were imperfect, and this game felt almost like a throwback. This game felt like a 2018-2019 Chiefs game, not in the ways they moved the ball offensively, but in what their offense needed to do, and they were still able to do it. And we talked about this on Friday, and it's a thought that's really hard to shake right now. This Bills team was built to beat this Chiefs team. This was it. It was them having that AFC Championship game loss in their mind the entire offseason. The moves they made this spring, the mindset, was all about beating this team and getting over the hump. And it looked like they were going to do it. It looked like they had done it. It looked like everything they had put in, from the resources to every bit of motivation they might have had for an entire year, was all going to culminate in this moment where Josh Allen showed that he was on the same level as Patrick Mahomes, and that the Bills were on the same level as the Chiefs, and they were ready to take their place at the top of the AFC. And now what? Yeah. Now the Chiefs are just still here, and this Bills team just suffered, one of the most devastating losses I've ever seen, because of all of the buildup and because of what this moment was supposed to be for this team and for Josh Allen and this fan base and everything. Every bit of the last 3-4 years under the McDermott era was supposed to come to that moment we just saw with that final Gabriel Davis touchdown. And instead, it's Mitch Morse getting consoled by Travis Kelce because the Bills are done. And now you kind of sit back and like, if we couldn't do it now, Jesus.
Yeah.
Then when are we going to do it?
Yeah.
And that is a really, really hard thing to face after the game that they just played.
And it's like, okay, we got Josh Allen, which is okay. That's the fun part. But this current build of players too, like, this is a hard defense to play against week in, week out. And like you said, it's meant to go against the top teams. Like, they might have some blemishes here and there. Okay, the 3 pass plays against the Patriots in the negative 20-degree game. But they were meant to play top-tier offenses and give them a hard time, whether it be the Bucs in the Super Bowl, the Rams, the Chiefs, all these top, I guess the Bengals as well, where they have a top offense too, but all these vertical offenses that want to get after you. That's how their defense was built. And they have this perfect kind of blend of players. I call them the no-name defense on our Friday show, but I was kind of meaning it as a compliment. It was just
absolutely.
All these great, just good players, but just good players, solid players that know the rules and play the rules well. It's hard to keep that together. It's hard to have that year after year. You bring up that point all the time. Hard to sustain defensive success year after year. You're going to have ebbs and flows with it. And this offense, kind of the same thing. Josh Allen's only going to get paid more money. It's all just like this. That's going to just have to change everything. This blend of teams is going to be so different in a year from now, and especially 2 years from now. You love the building blocks, though, and the different pieces they have, but it's just, it just feels like a page turning here.
they were the number one team in defensive DVOA over the course of the season, right? That's hard to do.
Yes.
If you're number one, maybe even if you're a really good defense, there's a good chance you fall to 7, 8. We talk about it all the time. So bottling that thing is difficult. It felt like by the end of the season, they had paired the best defense in football for the entire year with maybe an even more devastating version of the offense we saw for much of 2020. That's what this team felt like over the last month. It felt like this convergence of one of the best offenses in football with the best defense in football. Yep. There are teams and fan bases at this stage of the calendar when they lose. It's like, man, this could have been our year. And they're lying to themselves. This is a Super Bowl team. This, at their best, is arguably the best team in football. And that is why this moment stings so bad. Because there's no delusion in that. There's no lying to yourself as a Bills fan saying, this was it. This was our moment to do this. Now, I'm not saying the Bills are going to fall off by any stretch. You know, you look at their roster, not a lot of big-name free agents going into next season. Levi Wallace is a free agent. Jerry Hughes is a free agent. Okay. They've planned for that, right? I mean, they've built their defensive line to have so many different guys kind of cycle in and out. Their offense, for the most part, will come back intact next year. Allen has one more cheap year on his deal. His cap hit next year is only like $16 million. So they can keep a good chunk of this team together. They will be a contender again next year. But what happens with Brian Daboll? What happens with Leslie Frazier? Does one of them leave? This is what happens. This is what happens when you're really good. And when you're really good and you don't finish it off, this is the type of stuff you have to face. And it is going to be a long, long offseason in Buffalo.